Cool Friend Hour. Welcome to the Cool Friend Hour.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Girlfriend Hour. I'm your host, your ghost host, Morgan Fezza, and tonight we are here with a special guest, another podcast host from the Wall of the Unusual. Chris is with us today to talk about the spooky, the macabre, and everything in between. So let's get into it.
Hello.
Thanks so much for joining us today, Chris. I'm going to pass the mic over to you, and I'm going to let you kind of tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, sure. My name is Chris. Like you mentioned, I'm the host of the Wall of Unusual. I started this podcast because I'm huge into true crime, paranormal, anything strange and unusual. The original podcast name for my podcast was called The Wall of Weird because I love Smallville. And in that show, one of the characters made a wall called the Wall of Weird because of all the strange stuff that would happen. But then I found out the cast of Smallville made a podcast called The Wall of Weird. So I'm like, dang it. So I just called it The Wall of Unusual. So I'm into everything from true crime, paranormal. I don't put my stock into too much conspiracy theories, but I know a few because my dad is a huge conspiracy theorist. And anything strange and unusual. If someone has a strange story and wants to talk about anything strange, I'm always all ears and always open to listen and whatnot. So
yeah, absolutely. So my first question usually to all of our guests is, how did you get here? I mean, because I feel like when it comes to the weird and the unusual, there's usually a who, what, why that kind of brings us to the table. So what was your who, what, why?
Well, I would have to say it started when I was a kid. I always loved the strange and ghosts and stuff. I always wanted to do a Ouija board. Actually, I have a story of my only time that I did a Ouija board, which I'll share later. But I always liked and I was always drawn to it. And it was something that I just love talking about, love learning. I'm Canadian, so we used to have like Haunted Canada books here. So as you can tell by my accent, I think I had a copy. I think I still have a copy of Haunted Canada somewhere, and I just love the stories from there. And so I just started getting into it. Then when podcasts came around, I wasn't really big into it. Then one of my friends shared something, my very first podcast called The Black Tapes, which was a fictional podcast. It was really good, and they ended the season. That ticked me off. Then I started getting into the podcast called Last Podcast on the Left. Was big fans of them, and I said, you know what, I want to make my own podcast. So first I made like a fictionalized one. Then I made this one, The Wall of Unusual, where I just started talking about weird and strange things. And my very first episode I did was on the Slenderman stabbing case. And I actually have to do another update about that one. But from there it just continued on to just talking about all these weird and strange cases.
Very cool. And I think it's fun because I did not know that you're Canadian, but I think it's really cool because my lineage, I'm half French Canadian. My dad's side, he's from Coaticook.
Okay.
So I have been kind of learning more about my heritage. We're all Algonquin native, and I've been learning a lot more about kind of Canadian lore and a lot of like the Native American and Indigenous tribes. And so I think it's really cool that now I finally have a fellow Canadian on the podcast that I can kind of hopefully maybe we can dive into that a little bit today. Some of the lore and the ghost stories of
Oh,
Canada.
sure.
It's on my bucket list to visit. Hopefully we can do something like that this year. But I've just heard so many really awesome things about Canada. And I actually have a coworker there that kind of has been here and there filling me in on some cool stuff. So I'm excited to dive into that part of things.
Oh, if you're ever in Toronto, my neck of the woods, I'll take you and your friends on my own little ghost walk. I know a few places here, and yeah, if you're ever in my neck of the woods, I'll give you your own private ghost walk of Toronto.
I would
So,
love that.
yeah, there's a few spots here. There's one road called the people don't really know if it's haunted or not, but it's called Ghost Road. The story goes that a guy was riding his motorcycle and he lost control of it. His bike ended up spinning out and he ended up getting decapitated by barbed wire. So the thing is, if you go to Ghost Road late at night and you wait on the side of the road, you'll see his motorcycle start coming towards you, and then all of a sudden the light will disappear. You turn around quickly, and his taillights are near the rock where his supposed head has landed. Now, a lot of people cannot confirm this happened, but it's one of those creepy things that has happened here in Canada. Even if you're familiar with Spring Hill Jack, he was in. So Spring Hill Jack was this thing that was in London where he would terrorize people within London, and then he would jump away like at extremely heights and run off. So they called him Spring Hill Jack. So in Nova Scotia, he managed to find his way here, and actually found that out while doing a episode for my very first Halloween episode I ever did. Cool. So even one of our government buildings here is actually haunted. It has a few tales and ghost stories. There's another legislative assembly building because in Canada we have 3 levels of government. We have federal, provincial, and municipal. Now every province has a legislative assembly. Now this one is in Nova Scotia too, and it tells the story of a girl that had a very abusive husband, but she started getting really close with the brother-in-law, and whispers around town were that she was too close to them and their friendship exceeded, the normal sister-in-law and brother-in-law dynamic. So one day her husband came home, found them really close. He flew into a rage, and all of a sudden he just disappeared. A policeman was on the dock, found blood. They accused her of murdering him. She ran off into the woods pregnant. They caught the brother-in-law. She came in, turned herself in. Now, the trial only lasted a few minutes. By an all-male jury, she was found guilty and to be sentenced to hang until dead. Before she hung, she says, I was a lot of things in this world, but a murderer I am not. And then she was hung. She was allowed to give birth to her kid, and she was killed. Now, in the assembly in Nova Scotia, people have reported her walking the halls trying to figure out, looking for her missing kid. Some say that they seen the elevators open by itself. They look, no one's there. It would close and go to a different floor. So that's one of the scary stories that this is in Nova Scotia that we have here in Canada. So it's kind of interesting. We have a lot of cool things here.
That sounds awesome. I love I love how knowledgeable you are about, the history, and I feel like you're very eloquently spoken too. I think you do a really, really good job at your podcast because when I was listening to the episodes that I was like, wow, you just have you're very fluid, and I love your storytelling style. I feel like it's very engaging. So that's awesome. And I love that you have all these spots that you're able to kind of retain all this history and all this knowledge and these spooky stories and recite it.
Yeah, like thank you very much for the compliment. I tried my best, but like my wife listens to my episodes just to proofread them, and sometimes she says like you talk too fast, and that's what I worry about. Um but yeah, like I get it from my dad really. Like me and him used to listen to Coast AM with George and Rory and Art Bell late at
Art
night.
Bell. Yeah.
Yes, the late great Art Bell.
Yes.
And my dad would just like sometimes they would have wackadoos on the show, and you're like, okay, like this is just complete bullshit. I don't know if I could swear, but my dad would
No,
be like,
you're
no.
good.
My dad would
This
be
is
like,
a
no,
this is a
no.
cuss this is a cuss friendly zone, so you're good.
My dad would be like, no, but if you listen to this guy and that guy, and I'm like, okay, like come on, dad, you can't really believe in this. And my dad's like, no, no, no. I'm like, okay, but again, like, like it's funny. Sometimes I drive my wife kind of crazy because sometimes I'll go on like Instagram or TikTok and like one story I have is the new Ed Gein episode TV show that came out on Netflix.
Yeah, that was
Now
a wild,
that is
wild show.
I haven't watched it yet, but Harold Schechter, he's one of the best true crime novelists out there. He's really well researched, and I was watching a clip of him, and he said that that show was really inaccurate of how Ed Gein was. And I watched a few clips of it, and it was like I remember talking to one of my wife's cousins about because she watched it. I haven't watched it yet, but um her cousin's like, oh, well, Ed Gein had a girlfriend and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, and I wanted to correct her saying, no, Ed Gein never had a girlfriend. He was a very timid man. He was very shy. He was really messed up. He was a grave digger, and they actually recently caught a guy that was doing the same thing. But like I really want to watch the show. I'm not able to find it, but there's so many. I heard there were so many inaccuracies of the show. Even the episode with what was it? The Jeffrey, not Je- was it Jeffrey Dahmer? Yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer.
There's a couple of them. There's Jeffrey Dahmer. There's the Menendez brothers.
Yep.
I think is because I'm like sometimes I always get them because there's some that are like different. And then there's the ones that are in like the monster trilogy, like the franchise.
Yeah.
So I think the Menendez brothers were included in that. But yeah, and I feel like they're all like they're like, oh, it's so big, like it's it's so it's to portray and make you understand how they became a monster. And I'm like, well, you can't change history in order to make it favorable to you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know how to word that, but like I feel like so often they try to change like they try to romanticize like the true crime and kind of side with the perpetrator. And I'm like, I feel like if anything, if you're gonna do it, you kind of gotta report from like a Switzerland standpoint and kind of like stay like mid. And if you're gonna show perspectives, show it from both sides, but don't just kind of like pick like a super attractive cast and like romanticize what has happened and then make it very Hollywood, dress up and then say like this is gonna be the most accurate portrayal of what happened, because I feel like it never really is.
Yeah, I agree. Like for instance with Jeffrey Dahmer, like there was that point where in the season when he was finally caught and the father and lawyer are talking to him, they actually bring up Ed Gein, and Jeffrey Dahmer was like, oh, well, I was so drunk I didn't realize I was doing what I was doing. And I think that was an actual offense of his that he did. Bullshit. He knew what he was doing. He was just so messed up. Every single serial killer, if you watch an interview except for Ed Kemper, Ted Bundy is a really big one where first he said, oh, well, I just had these urges. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, it was the porn that was on TV and that's why I killed. And then it was, oh, I'm possessed by a demon. That's why I killed. And serial killers often come up with all these bullshit excuses. And like, there are psychologists that say, oh, but we can make them good members of society. We can rehabilitate them. No, you can't. No, you can't. Like there was, I was watching a very interesting Vice. Oh, I forgot her name, but she's a criminologist with New Scotland Yard, and she was talking about a stalker case, which I want to cover. And that question was brought up, and she's like, "Nope, no serial killer can be rehabilitated. It cannot happen." because they don't think normally like we do. Like Ed Kemper, he was a huge, massive guy, and there was
Ed Kemper is the creepiest to
yeah.
like watch his interviews.
Oh yeah, I
And
watched a
like,
few of them.
have you watched Mindhunter?
Oh yes, I watched the. I haven't watched all of it, but I watched the one where he actually interviewed Ed Kemper, and a lot of the things that Ed Kemper said in that show, he said in interviews,
Mm-hmm.
and like he would kidnap co-eds, and it was that mindset of he would kidnap a girl who was hitchhiking, not pick up a girl that was hitchhiking. He would drive in silence, and probably in his head he's like, "Oh, well, you're too fucking good to talk to me. You can't fucking talk to me." And you know, it was that way of thinking of like he even said it like he killed the girl, decapitated her head, put her head in a bag, and he said, "Oh, I saw this couple, and I said good evening." They said good evening back, and I'm walking, and I'm like, "They must be going out on a date." And he's like, "I wish I had that." It's like, no, you're just really messed up, right?
He was to I thought Mindhunter did a really I thought that was the one show that as much as it was kind of like it was like fiction, it did a really good job at like showing you the kind of straight and narrow of how a like a psychopath and like a sociopath like operates, because I feel like Ed Kemper very much captured that are you familiar with Iceman?
Yes. Ed, I forgot his
I
name. I
can't
can't think of it, but
Yeah, I
yeah.
know. I'm trying to think of it too.
Uh,
Um
let me look him up because this is gonna bug the shit out of me. But yeah, he was a he was
he
a
had a
hitman
very
for the mob.
similar. Yeah, and I feel like when you look at any kind of interview with, and I feel like I'm going to mix this up. Like there's, because I know there's like psychopath and sociopath, like are two different things, but like I'm just going to say sociopath. So all of my true crime fans don't come after me if this is incorrect. But I like when you watch um, interviews with that particular kind of person, they're very much self-aware. Like they're very, very self-aware and like they know what they've done, but there's no
Mhm.
human emotion behind what they've done. Like there's no conscience. Like it's very like black and white. It's very just it's almost like when somebody gives like a court report, like it's just stated, it just is what it is.
Yeah,
So they're like, oh yeah, I killed that woman, or oh yeah, I did this and this, and then I did this afterwards, and it's like, okay, well, how did that make you feel? Well, I didn't feel any which way about it. Like they're just very like cut and dry, and it just there's no real emotion. And I feel like it's very scary to see how void of like human empathy and like compassion they are. And it's like you look at that and you're like, that's something I feel like a lot. I mean, I won't get into the nature versus nurture debate here
yeah,
because I'm sure it goes so much deeper than that. But
yeah,
I feel like when you look at somebody like that, you do kind of think to yourself, like, this is something we do, I feel like, pick up at a young age. Like we don't come out of the womb necessarily. Like we're just kind of programmed and like biologically conditioned to like love and like chemically bonded to the people that birth us, but over time we pick up those mannerisms and that empathy and that compassion from being like taught it at a young age when we're absorbing all of that. So it's like when you're looking at a man or a woman that's maybe in their late 30s or 40s who don't have that capacity and like have done as much killing and as much like heinous crime as they have, how do you how do you take them at that point in their life and reinstill, you know what I'm saying, like
yeah.
how do you take those traits like love and empathy and compassion and reinstill it into somebody like that when they've gone so long without it?
Yeah, that is a good point. And his name is Richard Kuklinski, the Iceman.
Klinsky. I
Yeah.
I was like I couldn't think of it, but yeah, so like he's very much the same. Like, and that's what made him such a good hitman. He was void of human emotion. There
Mhm.
was no like when you think about hurting something and you have that like that empathy and that conscience, you're like, oh my God, I would hate if that was done to me. So I won't do it to somebody else. But somebody like that, they're very much like they don't look at a person as a person I don't really know how they look at them, but it's just kind of like they don't see the humanity in them. So it's
Yeah.
just kind of like
It's all null and void. Like again, yeah, you get all these like weird people, like serial killers and all that, and then you get like again, you get like fans of serial killers too. Those are like a whole nother subgenre of people. Like again, you had fans of Jeffrey Dahmer, you had fans of Ted Bundy. He had his own little groupies. All
I
like
never understood that.
girls would say he was so good looking and but I could fix him. I could really fix him. Even Charles Manson. Like I
Ugh.
remember listening to an episode of Last Podcast on the Left. I think they were talking about Charles Manson, and they played an interview clip of a girl that was like in correspondence with him, and she found out that he was talking to other girls. And she said, and she wrote him saying, "How many girls have you been talking to? How long has this been going on?" And one of the hosts is like, "I love it how this guy has to go through being in jail and still go through what it's like being in a relationship." I'm like, what the fuck?
It's wild.
Yeah, like that's another subgenre that I do not understand. Like even if you look at I don't know if there's any if there was any guys that were into Casey Anthony. Oh yeah, there were. She
I bet.
yeah, I'm not thinking of her who quote unquote killed her daughter. Oh, I can't think. Eileen Warnos. She was another one that she said, "Oh, it was just my
I
circumstances and
feel like
stuff."
it's a hot take though, because like
Yeah.
as a female, like I have looked into Eileen Warnos's case pretty in depth,
Mhm.
and she's somebody though that I do think was like a victim of circumstance. And I
Yeah, a
feel
lot of
like
people say that. Yeah.
there's like a very I think there's a very, very fine line. And this is gonna be a hot take, and I know that
Mhm.
there's gonna be people that are gonna hear this and be like, Morgan. But I feel like Eileen Warnos, there's something like so I want to get your take on this. I have a
Okay.
thing about eyes. So I'm very much like when I meet somebody, I can tell right away, like, and this has nothing to do with my clairvoyancy or like my sensitive side of me, but like I will look at you and there's something like I with your eyes. Like if I look at you and I can sense right away whether or not we're gonna get along or not.
Mhm.
And I can tell very much by the kind of person you are. And there's something about like when I look at like pictures of Eileen Warnos, she like I don't think she wanted to be a bad person. Like I feel like she did have the empathy and compassion, but I think that like she was just really broken.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Like, yes, she was a victim of the circumstance,
And I mean, there's a
and
lot, but then to kind of like
yeah,
devil's advocate, there's a lot of people who are a victim of circumstance who don't go around
yes,
killing people. So like,
exactly. Yes, they escape those certain situations and stuff. But
yeah,
it's very it is very interesting the world of true crime of like all the stuff you can get into and all that. And I have to bring this up, but like in the world of the more wackadoo side of things, like more conspiracy thought and stuff. I don't mean to put this conversation everywhere. I'm just that's who I am. But
yeah,
like if you look into so are you a fan of Stranger Things?
yeah.
Okay. So Stranger Things, a lot of people had said that that series is based off of a thing called the Montauk Project.
Hmm.
Now, Project Montauk was supposedly a project that had to deal with, I believe, if I remember right, all these people are probably going to be like, no, time travel, trying to make psychics or whatever. And supposedly it took place in a base up in Montauk, New York.
Okay.
But the only guy that talks about it is very unreliable, and he makes all these supposed claims that he's done. Like he said he's the one that talked to George Lucas to get Mark Hamill the role of Luke Skywalker, and he says he's time traveled and all that. And it's just like it's kind of like the same thought that I don't know where I was going with this, but like, it's just like you get these wackadoos that believe in this stuff, and they're
Yeah.
like they say it as fact. So
Yeah.
it's like I always find that another area of even the paranormal fascinating. Like I recently did an episode on haunted dolls. I did a series, my first 3-part series on it, and I talk about Annabelle. And my buddy listened to it. He's like, "You were very hard on Annabelle." I'm like, "Well, I don't know what your take's on, but oh, the Warrens, to my opinion, yes, they did a lot for the paranormal world and stuff, like the paranormal, but to me, they were a bit flim-flam artists. I don't believe Annabelle is haunted. I don't believe that there's a demon residing in this doll. Like, I don't know if you remember, but I remember when Annabelle went missing and people were like freaking out.
But she never went missing.
No, she didn't. And people were like, "Oh my God, people escaped from jail. There's fires." And Ed and Lorraine Warren are probably up in heaven saying, "You shouldn't have opened the doll," and blah, 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 blah. But like, I don't even
I think there's
want to.
levels. Like, I feel like some people, like, there's like realistic. I don't even know how to word this. I'm struggling right now. Like,
Realistic and fantastical.
yeah, like, so me and my husband, we have this saying in our house where we're like, okay, so like, I don't know, I think it was from that movie The Good Guys. So there's like a scene where Michael Keaton is like, you know, listen guys, he's like, this is Bed Bath and Beyond. Like, not like Bed Bath and like way the fuck out there. So like I feel like we always say shit like that, like where we're like, this is like there's levels to this. And I do think that when you believe in the paranormal or you believe in anything spooky, you do have to kind of keep a pretty wide open horizon. And I do keep my brain pretty open to a lot of things. But then I feel like there does become a point where certain people will say things or will get a little bit too wild with it and too theatrical. And then it's like, I feel like you just kind of know when you get to that point with somebody or with something. And I always say, like, use your gut as your best judgment because like you can kind of pick up when something's like foo-foo and you're like,
like sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but
you're good. Listen, I'm neurodivergent, so we're gonna probably cut each other off a lot throughout this. So just do your thing.
Like I don't even want to say the doll's name, but
is it an R word?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that doll. I did an episode on that doll. I had to redo it because the audio was fine when I listened to it. I usually record because I had a guest on from the Savannah Paranormal Museum. They own a museum full of haunted objects, full of haunted dolls. Came on my show, and we were talking about that doll. Everything was fine, and then when I tried to play back the audio was gone. I couldn't play it back. I couldn't do nothing. I had to reach out.
Did you ask permission?
No, I didn't. I said a prayer.
Kiss, naughty, Chris.
Yes. I literally, like, I told my wife and my buddy they were over, and while we were talking about the episode, I said I literally looked up a protection prayer to say, and it's funny. I redid the episode. We talked about the doll, and sorry, I mentioned that doll. Sorry, I did a whole episode on the R word, that doll by itself. And my buddy said, I was listening to that episode and all of a sudden the episode just cut out. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, it just cut out. I'm like, I thought maybe something like it was my phone or something. I'm like, dude, I listened to that episode to make sure everything was fine, but yet it was still always screwing up. So I think like even the amount of accounts that happened, and even it's funny, after I did that episode and I published Haunted Dolls Part 3, those people actually went to go visit that doll and they took a picture. Yeah, they actually did a escrow method with that doll.
Okay.
And I'm like, holy crap, talk about like coincidences and and stuff. Like it just gets very interesting when I sometimes deal with this stuff. One story I have with dealing with the paranormal was I went to an abandoned location that a murder happened. I found out later. I was sleeping by myself in my room and I felt the hand wrap around my leg and it was trying to pull me out of the bed. and I just said I just said a quick prayer and it went away. And
Oh.
yeah, and that was like another time. Oh, I think it was after I played with the Ouija board. I actually told this story on Jim Harold's Campfire podcast too. Um, I was fast asleep. Again, I was by myself, and then all of a sudden, I felt a hand go across my face, and I just woke up, and I was
Like
from
over your mouth? Like,
no,
or
like
was it like,
brushing on my face,
oh,
and I just remember waking up because at the time I was living with my parents, and my mom was standing over me, and I'm like, "What?" She's like, "You were screaming, like in your sleep. You were screaming." And my dad's standing at the door going, "What happened?" I'm like, "Oh, nothing, nothing, nothing. I'm fine. I'm fine. I probably just had a nightmare." So yeah, like it's just like stuff like that, just like creeps me out. And I still
yeah.
would, and it's funny, like it's on my bucket list to see the doll, to
Mm-hmm.
visit the doll. But my wife has said, if you visit this doll and bring anything home, I'm having divorce papers on the counter ready for you.
So
Because
she's not into spooky stuff.
no. Like it's funny, when we first started dating, she surprised me to go on a ghost walk up at a place called Black Creek Pioneer Village. If you're ever here, if in October in Toronto, I recommend going on it. I actually do one in downtown too, as well. First time we went, and my wife surprised me. And it's funny, she was like, she doesn't like this stuff, but she did it anyway for me. And she was
That's
standing,
love.
yes. And every single house we were going into, she was standing right at the door going, okay, like, nope, you listen to the story. I'll stand here. And then when it's done, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And it became a tradition of ours to do it every year, every October. We didn't do it this October because we moved and stuff. But there was one house we went into when we brought a bunch of our friends, and the guy was telling about a ghost of a little boy that likes to play tricks on guests, and he likes to lock the door. And after she tells this story, she's like, okay, let's move on to the next house, because there's like how different houses you go into. She tries
Yeah.
to open the door and it's not opening. And she's trying. And she looks at everybody. She's like, I swear, this is not a bit I'm doing. This is not a bit. And my wife was just like looking at her. And then she finally got the door open, turned out to be a faulty lock. But my wife said to me later, she's like, that lady had 10 seconds, or else I was going to push her out of the way. I was going to kick the door open because I needed out of the house.
Your wife was like, I'm tearing this door off the freaking hinges now.
Oh yeah. So like my wife is completely opposite of the paranormal. She doesn't want nothing to do with it. She doesn't like listening to ghost stories. She doesn't even like me talking about it with her, because she's like, yeah, nope. Like she hasn't seen the original Exorcist movie. And I'm like,
Oh.
and I'm like, it's not that scary. She's like, nope, I haven't seen it. I'm like, okay, we'll watch it together during the day.
Yeah, but you know what's weird about The Exorcist? It's not, when you watch it, like when you're in it, it's not like scary.
Yeah.
It's after the movie. Like, because the very first time I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is like, it was droning for me a little bit. Again, another hot take. Don't yell at me, guys. But I watched it and I was like, like this isn't that bad. And then for some reason later that night, I'm like laying in bed and I'm like, oh, this is fucked up. Like I was like, this is like sticking with me.
My dad actually used to have a chef, because my dad had a restaurant at one point, and he had a chef that used to work for him. And him and my dad got to talking one day, because this guy was, I don't remember if he was a pastor or he was really involved in his church. And one day he told my dad, like, oh, I witnessed an exorcism one day. And my dad's like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, I witnessed an exorcism. The guy was talking in tongues and blah, 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 blah. And like, my dad's like, oh, okay. So like that stuff too, like I do want to do an episode on exorcisms, and I would love to have
if you do an episode on exorcism, reach out to Father Vincent Lampert.
Okay.
If you haven't already. He is like the official, I think it's, I'm going to get his title wrong, so I don't even want to say it. Just look up Father Vincent Lampert. He is one of the coolest, most awesome priests that I have ever met.
Mhm.
He, I believe, is ordained by the Vatican, and he is like the official exorcist um,
Oh, he must.
for Indiana.
Oh, he must work for maybe one of the archdioceses that's
That's what
there.
I wanted to say,
Yeah,
but I was scared. I was like, I don't want to mess this up. So
yeah.
he was fantastic. Like the information and the stuff that we talked about, we didn't even get some of even like the good stuff because we were just yapping away before we even started the episode. And he is so knowledgeable. The experiences that he has had, I feel like he would be like amazing to have on an episode about that. Like if you wanted to talk to him, and I, if you need an email or anything like that, I can connect with you after the show. And
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that'll be
yeah,
awesome.
he's fantastic, and like stuff that like I was like for sure I was like, oh, this doesn't happen. He's like, oh no, he's like, it does happen, but it just happens a little differently, and like gave us the lowdown, and I was just like, that must be crazy to witness in person.
Yeah, like with the ghost walk too. One time we were on the ghost walk with a few same group of friends, and we were actually in the home of the one of the priests,
Ooh.
and the guide said, "Whatever's in this house is not friendly. It doesn't like people, so just be aware." So she was telling a story of how the priest that lived in this house was a very mean person. Like she told a story that one day one of his parishioners fell asleep in the queues, and he grabbed the Bible and smacked the parishioner across the face with it. And he says, "If you are not going to listen to the word of God, you are certainly going to feel it." And as she's telling this story, there was a room that was quartered off, meaning that it was sealed off because there's some historic artifacts in there, and no one's allowed in there. And I just look over, and I know no one could be in that room. No one was standing near that door. And I see a man, a silhouette of a man with a wide brimmed hat just standing there. And I look away. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything to my wife. Didn't say anything to my friends. I just kept it to myself. And she's like, during this ghost walk, you get some time to look around the house. So the guide said, okay, you're not allowed upstairs because the stairs are unsafe and people have felt dizzy and stuff. And, just don't go up there. So right away, I took my flashlight, looked around to see if anything could cause it, the outline or whatever. There was nothing. And I'm like, okay, I'm keeping this to myself. And then we went on a ghost walk again, and I mentioned it to the guide, and I said, listen, I had experience in this house. And she looked at me. She's like, oh, him. He just appears in each house. We don't know who he is or what he wants, but he just appears.
Hat Man.
I think it might be Hat Man, but like,
I'm scared to even say that out loud. I feel like I said that the other day and stuff started acting up, and I'm like,
oh, like when I did my episode 1 of the Haunted Doll series, I had Kristen from the Parapod Girl podcast on. Oh, that was me clapping.
oh, I was like, is that my kid? I was like, did she get through my fortress? I was like, how'd she get in my office?
Oh, sorry. Like sometimes I just do gestures when I talk. So she was talking about a doll that she got from a fan, and it was just a bobblehead of some sports team. They're like, listen, a lot of strange shit has happened with this. I don't want it. Do you want it? And she's told me, I never put any stock in haunted objects. I didn't believe it. I took it, put it in my studio. It was going to be this cool little thing that I'm going to have. And all of a sudden, weird shit started to happen. And as she's telling the story, I lost the feed for like a second. And I said, hello? And if you listen back to the episode, I say hello. And then she came back on. And she finished the story. I'm like, you want to hear something creepy that happened? She's like, what? I'm like, as you're telling me that story, I lost the feed for like maybe a bit. She's like, no. I'm like, yep. And it's even funny when we were talking about that doll, I was looking at a picture of it. I'm like, oh shit, I'm looking at a picture. She's like, careful. I'm like, yeah, this is just creepy. And I kind of like exited the picture. But like, it's just like, I don't know. This is why I started the Wall of Unusual, because like there are so much things to explore within this like realm. I'm pretty sure you doing your podcast, you've explored all these like things and stuff. I even said to the guy that I had on my show, I joked with him. I said, who collected haunted objects, there's like also the Newkirks, which they're very well known. I would love to have them on the show. I would love to meet them in real life. I said to him, I said, you guys are like real life Warehouse 13 agents. And I'm like, it was a show was on Sci-Fi where like these agents worked for the Secret Service and they worked for this warehouse that would collect artifacts that would cause certain things. Like in the show, they had the original pair of Ray-Bans. And if you put them on, it would turn you invisible. But the thing is, it would turn you blind because you wore them. You would wear them for so long. Or there was another object where it was a teapot. If you hold it, your wish would come true. But if you wish for something that's impossible, a ferret would come out. So, I just said, like, you guys are like, we're real life Warehouse 13 agents. He's like, oh, that's the dream, man. So like, I just picture like people that collect haunted objects and stuff, like going out and just bagging, tagging, and being like the real life Warehouse 13 agents. Like I even watched the documentary the New Kirks did, the Catskill Chrome, and that was just like just amazing. And I'm like, oh, this is the life I want, but I can't do this stuff, right? So
I feel like it's good in theory. Like we have, so I don't know if you've seen any of our TikToks or anything like that, but I do have a haunted doll, which went against everything. Yeah, and it's funny because right now she's missing because I went to go grab her because I was gonna, when you were talking about, I was gonna show you Rosie, and I'm like, my daughter loves to play with her, so I'm like, she's probably, I just haven't seen her anywhere, so I'm like, I thought my husband had put her back on her shelf in my office because that's where she resides. And she's not there. So I'm like, my daughter must have taken her again. But I did not see her in her room when I was in there today. So I just have no idea where she is. But I'm going to text my husband and see if he can find her so I can at least show you her before the end of the show. She is fantastic. I went against everything that I said because my daughter, for some reason, so I have been sensitive clairvoyant since I was, pretty much out the womb because that's just how life rolls. And so I just had like a funky feeling when we were at Goodwill. We were like looking at like, little odds and ends because like we go for like cute things for my office or just, who doesn't love thrifting? So I always said, cardinal rule, I don't bring dolls home. Like we don't do like porcelain dolls. We just kind of stay away from that in thrift shops just because as somebody who's spiritual, I can usually pick up when something's got a little bit of baggage. And my daughter threw a fit. Like she was like, I want to bring this doll home. I want this doll. And I was like, it's got a little something. I was like, I don't really want to bring this doll home. I don't know how I feel about this because I just feel like you never know how that's going to evolve, how it's going to kind of interact with like your home energy. And so I was like very skeptical. So for the first 48 hours, she stayed in my car because I was like, I just physically couldn't. I was like, you can $4, fine, I'll buy her. You can bring her in the car, but she stays in the car, and that's where you can play with her for the time being. Now looking back on that, I was like, if she was like dangerous to any extent that I wasn't picking up on, probably not the best to keep her in my car because like driving like a how much ever ton vehicle with a possibly dangerous doll probably wasn't the best idea, but it's fine. So she it's been really wonderful. Like I don't think that she's got any bad energy. She just kind of hangs out. The only thing that we have noticed, and my husband, my mom, my aunt, everybody who visits our house has kind of learned we call them the Rosie rules. Mess. So I had a dream about her one night and she very clear as day came to me. I think she is some type of I want to say like 1930s to like 1950s in her early like 30s housewife. She's very particular about a clean space. So she will give you nightmares if things are not tidy. And she'll cause a little bit of mischief. And so I know I probably sound so woo-woo, so crazy saying this. And I, for like a while, because I didn't know how I loved haunted objects. Like I was very intrigued by them and I had watched a lot about them, but to like physically own something that has an energy to it was really interesting. But there's nothing like malicious. There's nothing like heavy or, what I would consider, danger zone about her. But that's really the only thing. The Rosie rules are like you keep things tidy, not too much clutter. And like a lot of the times, like when the house starts to get a little bit messy or it starts to get a little out of control, we'll all end up having dreams. Like my daughter will be like, "Mom, I had nightmares." My husband will be like, "I'm having nightmares again.
Oh
I'm
wow.
cleaning up the space." So that's like that's the only thing. And then the only other thing was after we had brought her home, my family had come to visit, and so this is what my aunt witnessed. Um, they were kind of like, because it was my two godchildren, my aunt, my uncle, everybody kind of came into the kitchen, so they were just like putting their bags and stuff down. They had like
Yeah.
food and like, so stuff was all over the place. And my aunt did not know at this time that I had the doll yet, and so I was like, we're in the kitchen, she goes, "Holy shit." And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Your fucking donut box just flew off the microwave."
Oh
And I was
shit.
like, "I'm sorry." I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Your donut box literally." See, my best friend Kelsey, my best friend Kelsey said she doesn't mess around when it comes to the house. So, she like, so yeah, like just things like that. Like, so I was like, "Yeah, by the way," I was like, "I'm just gonna let you guys know I have a doll that we think is haunted, still kind of confirming." And I was like, "That's probably what that was, and it's just all the clutter. So like, keep your wits about you, just straighten up after yourself." I'm like, "It's really not like a big deal." Like there's no like harm. It's just kind of more of like, I'm gonna stamp my feet until you kind of, you know, like I'm gonna throw a little bit of a temper tantrum until
Yeah.
you clean up. Like it's just kind of like I'm a little bit annoyed type thing. Um, yeah. So my friend Kelsey said we're homies though. She's protective of all of y'all. You can tell she is though. So I know that's like odd to say about a doll, but I will say like when it comes to like our like the energy, I feel like it's very good energy. It's very like happy. It's very like
Mhm.
it's like part of the family. And again, I know that sounds crazy. I know it sounds strange, especially for people like that haven't had an experience with a haunted object. But I will consider myself lucky that I did not bring home like a haunted Dybbuk box or something that is going to absolutely ruin my life. Knock on wood that Rosie's not going to ruin my life because she seems like she's pretty cool. But yeah, so that's my we have one. That's my first haunted object real experience. But yeah.
I actually have a funny story. My buddy, when he moved up to where we are in Oshawa, we went to visit him because we were doing D&D night, and he's like showing me my wife around, and I just kind of like went in his basement, and he kind of has like a window for his basement, and there was a doll in the window, and I didn't say anything because I know he was just fucking with me because he's the type of guy that would do that, and he starts laughing. And then I'm like, "Oh, there's a doll over there." He's like, "Oh man, I thought you would like freak out and blah blah blah." And like it happened like so life went on, whatever. And he was here maybe a couple weeks ago or something. And he looked at me and he's like, "I cannot find this fucking doll. It just disappeared." I'm like, "What?" And my wife's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "It just disappeared. Like, I don't know where it went. I asked my kid. He doesn't know where it went. Like, I don't know where this fucking doll went off to." I'm like, "No." He's like, "Yeah, I don't know where this fucking doll went off to." But like,
That's
again,
not a good feeling.
no, like I started laughing and I'm like, "Oh no, like he'll probably fucking show up somewhere." But like, um, yeah, like that's like even like you mentioned porcelain dolls, like my aunt's mother, when I was like when my aunt was starting to come around and like my uncle's getting married, like we went over to his the mom's house for Thanksgiving or something. And I walked into a room and she had a full on room of porcelain dolls that she made. And I'm like, "I hate porcelain dolls." I'm like, I hate them. I hate them. Like even like my wife, I think, has some porcelain dolls. And I said, "Yeah, they'll come to life when you're sleeping." And then, and that's when I shoot it and save everybody. So like,
I don't know what it is about the porcelain dolls. Like, I'm like convinced that there must be some sort of like science or theory to it because, like, it's very like how you said that the bobblehead, like, it's
yeah,
very few and far between that I feel like you see random objects like that are typically haunted, but it almost seems like a lot of porcelain dolls. Like, I'm like, is it because they're porcelain? Do they like contain energy better? Like, I just have like a natural curiosity to why that is.
Um, I think it kind of like with haunted objects in general, like in the show Warehouse 13, whenever a thing would happen with an art, like an object or an artifact, it would imbue the whatever. So then that's what would cause certain things for the artifact to happen.
Oops, so sorry. I thought I muted
It's
my
okay.
mic. Keep going. My daughter's banging on my door.
It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, like Warehouse 13, it was just like, like something would happen with an object, and that's how an object became an artifact. So kind of like a haunted object. Like the Newkirks talk about a mirror that they have that was used for scrying. And if you don't know what scrying is, scrying is pretty much you sit in the dark in front of a mirror with a lit candle, and you look into this mirror, and things would start to come. Like it's a certain practice. So Newkirk said that they have this mirror that was taken from this woman that just became obsessed with this hand mirror, and they said that people would look into this mirror, and one guy said he looked into the mirror and saw a version of himself, step out from behind him and smile and go back. And yeah, that was like something creepy about mirrors and even haunted objects in general. So yeah,
It's
all
funny
creepy.
that you say that, because another thing that I have on our like pages is that like I have a mirror like fear. I'm not a fan. Like, you will not see a ton of mirrors in my house except for the ones that are in the bathrooms.
Yeah.
I'm not a mirror person. Oh, here, my husband. So this is Rosie.
Oh, hello, Rosie.
She's kind of got a messed up thumb. Everybody like laughs, but I'm like, her thumb's broken off.
Oh,
But yeah, this is our good girl. She's amazing. She's like a little cutie patootie. I gotta put her back where she belongs. But yeah, so if my husband was grabbing her for me because I was like, I don't know where she is or where she's been, and I could hear my daughter going to find her. She's like, "Oh, I'll tell you where Rosie is." But yeah, like it. What was I saying before? I got sidetracked. Mirrors. Yes, I'm like, mirrors are one of those things that, because I feel like I've had such not good experiences with them, that they freak me out a little bit.
oh, mirrors. Yeah.
Like,
Well,
if you look at the Smurl haunting,
I'm
like,
not familiar with the Smurl haunting. What's that one?
so that was a Warren case. But if
Okay.
you actually look into the Smurls and like their firsthand accounts, not through the Warren files, and you look at the stuff that they reported and the stuff that has been like corroborated by like friends and family and stuff like that, there was an antique mirror that was like had some really bad shit in it.
Oh,
And
really?
it caused and they think there was other stuff too. And again, forgive me if I'm getting anything wrong on this. I dug through like some of like, it's hard to find just the Smurls account because it was such a big case.
Versus the
And
Warrens. Yeah.
yeah, so it's something that I have been digging into, and I actually reached out to Karen because her and I are friends on Facebook, and I wanted to reach out to her to see if I could get like just like I'm big on like that first person, like straight from the source, because she lived it, and she has quite a few siblings, and I would love to like hear the story from their mouths directly. But from the little things that I've read here and there, a lot of the problems that they had in that house stemmed from this mirror, I believe. And they had some pretty like volatile experiences in that home. I would suggest if there's any, like, if you have any ways to kind of, I don't know if you have any other sources that you're able to kind of tap into where you can get a little bit more insight outside of the Warren files. But if you can look into that one, that's a really interesting one to kind of report
I'll
on.
definitely have to write that down and look into it. The Smurls, that's interesting. Because like it is interesting you mentioned, like there was the another famous case. It was the I cannot think of the name. It was a British case in the UK.
Enfield?
Where it wasn't the, I think it was the Enfield poltergeist. Yeah,
And there's the Batterfield, there's the Enfield and there's the Batterfield poltergeist.
Or I was thinking of the Black Monk of Montague or something like that, where
that's another one.
Where the family was living in this home and all this weird stuff started to happen. And sorry, I'm trying to do doing bajillion things here. So all this weird stuff started to happen. So it got to the point where they actually made a movie called The Police, and there was an actual police report stating the police officer watched a chair move from one end of the room all the way to the other. So they ended up getting in contact with this guy who was a paranormal researcher, and he actually ended up living in the house with the family, documenting all this stuff. And the Warrens did show up briefly, and they actually made a movie saying, oh, the Warrens came in and they investigated, but really they didn't. And it's funny because like they had so many people go there trying to debunk certain things. Like I think the little girl did try to play a trick on them, saying, oh, it was the ghost. But they right away they caught her in a lie. But there's another thing where they actually like because a voice would come out of her, a raspy voice would come out of her when she would talk, because she was like possessed by a certain ghost.
It was the older gentleman, right? That was the Enfield.
Yeah. So they at one point they filled her mouth up with water, put tape around her mouth, and tied her, like pretty much tied her to a chair. And that voice was still coming out. And one of the things people were like, oh, well, she's a ventriloquist. And people were like, the podcast I was listening to last podcast, I think one of the hosts said, you would have to be such a good ventriloquist to throw your voice out like that. It's not something a 5-year-old little girl would take after school ventriloquist lessons and go learn. Right.
Yeah.
So, that like you like it is difficult to try to just find stuff from like certain hauntings versus the Warrens, because the Warrens have so much stuff out there and people are, and it is very hard to debunk the BS versus fact. Like I did an episode on my very first UFO episode that I did. I do want to do one on Dulce Base, and if you're not familiar with that, a so-called whistleblower came out saying that he worked in a underground military base in Dulce, New Mexico, and he saw aliens, and he had to communicate with them, and blah blah blah. And he was a whistleblower because he came out and he was saying all this information. But if you try to find this person's military record, he doesn't exist. You try to find anything, it doesn't exist. And I tried to corroborate some stuff, and nothing happened. Nothing lined up. And I'm like, this is not real. Like, so again, like you were saying, it's hard to take away fact from fiction kind of thing, right? So it's very hard to do.
One, I don't know if you've ever looked into him. He was one of my first guests, and I will say, even on my deathbed, it'll still be one of my biggest accomplishments to this day, because I look up to him so much. Ralph Sarchie. He was a police sergeant for NYPD, and he ended up leaving the force because have you ever seen Deliver Us from Evil?
No, I don't think I seen that movie.
Oh man, I'm gonna send you down a rabbit hole that I feel like you're gonna love, because Ralph Sarchie, number one, he ended up having a show. He is the one person that I will say, he is who you see on TV. He does not give a crap what you think. Like, he just is who he is, and he's authentic as they come. And he is like, he doesn't do the gobbledygook, fluffy. Like, his cases are legit.
Okay.
He is a hardcore, old school, like, NYPD police officer. He has been through the real stuff. He is as like realistic as they come. So he went into demonology. He did work very closely with the Warrens, and he went like his own way and kind of got into demonology, became a demonologist. Hi, Matt. And he wrote this book. It was originally called Beware the Night, but then because his cases were so just were really like heavy and like had such crazy evidence, I think it was, I want to say it was one of those big like Warner Brothers or Paramount or whatever. They bought
Mhm.
rights to his book, and it became Deliver Us from Evil. I
Wow,
will
that's
tell
interesting.
you,
I gotta
it's
watch this.
he is a fantastic, like, I think he still does lives. If you follow him on Facebook, he does lives. He's Catholic. He's very, very, very close to his religion. Um on our first phone call, I think we were on the phone for like 2 hours.
Oh wow.
And I always laugh because I said my first impression of him was he yelled at me because my daughter hadn't been christened yet. And he's like, what, like, in his thick New York accent, he's like, what the hell are you doing? He's like,
Yeah.
she's 2 years old and you haven't had a christen yet. And I was like, so I always was like, it was the funniest, it was the funniest moment of my life. And I was like, all right, like, I love this dude. But his book, when I read it, this was prior to meeting him or anything like that. My cousin was like, hey, you have to read this book. She's like, this is wild. So I read the book, Beware the Night, and I did not finish it. I literally ended up throwing it into a dumpster because it scared me so bad. And I had such a crazy, I was fully awake, like, I was not dreaming. My husband was on night work, and I was sleeping in our apartment, and our apartment, I think, was haunted. It was either the apartment or it was me. Still haven't figured that out yet, but I was sleeping and I was woken up because I felt something legitimately crawl, like, it felt like it was like I don't even know how to describe it. Like, on all fours, I felt it crawl up the middle of my legs and
Oh,
sit down on my like my thighs, like from my thighs to like my calves. And I couldn't, like, I was wide awake, but like I could move my top half, but I was trying to pull my legs and I felt like an elephant was sitting on my legs. And I could see the indent in the bed, and I closed my eyes and I was like praying to my, like, God, my grandma, I was like somebody, and I was able to finally pull my legs back into like a fetal position, and I was like, what the fuck was that?
oh
Like, it just
wow.
didn't feel very good.
Yeah.
And I was like, the next day I threw the book out because weird shit was happening around the apartment. I felt like it was kind of escalating, and the book freaked me out. Like, it just, I don't know. And I still haven't finished it. I still don't have the balls. Like, I don't have the balls to pick it back up. Matt, I cannot with you. He said, that sounds awesome. I love being touched by unseen things.
That guy sounds
Oh,
like my buddy Adriano, like so much. Like that's something my buddy would say, like 100%. Like I think I was talking to him once on because you can do a ghost hunt up in an abandoned prison somewhere. I forget where it is. It's run by the same company that does the Ghost Walk. And they give you all the
okay.
tools and stuff. And it's funny because I'm like, oh, like I look at him like, me, you should do that for like a, like whatever. And he's like, I would screw with you so much. Like I would like bang something, be like, oh my god, what is that? What is that? Oh my god. So that's why
Literally.
that's why I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, Age. Like he's like one of those guys that does that type of shit.
Well, you can tell my friends in the comment section, like my friend Kelsey right now, she's like, just a book grab here and there, Like, there's Kate, a quick tickle. Like, there's not a lot, like, being a sensitive, and it's funny because I was just talking to Kelsey and Kate about this because we had just done an investigation. and I don't know what has happened to me recently, because this is not like seeing spirits and stuff like that is a very normal occurrence in my house. My poor husband, because he loves haunted stuff and he's all about it, but he's very much like, don't, he's like your wife. He's like, don't bring that shit home. Um and so like I feel bad because there's always weird shit happening at my house. My best friends can attest to it. When they were here recently, we had something happened with my garage. We had, I
Oh,
forget what the other weird thing that happened. And we were like, I'm like, this is just my daily life. Like, so things don't usually freak me out, but like my body can very quickly pick up on like good or bad. And when something jolts me, like, I'm scared. Like, and I don't like it, because like normal, just kind of like spirits and just all that kind of stuff, I'm
mhm.
like, it's fine. Like, this stuff happens all the time. But there's some things that like, yeah, that I'm like, if it doesn't sit well with me, I'm like, I just want to be dragged out of bed by an entity, please.
Oh, that almost happened to me. Trust me, you don't want.
Oh yeah, the bath toys went off, and then the garage opened by itself.
There was actually a video of, oh, what was it? It was this family. I think they were celebrating. I think their father was a fireman, and he ended up passing away, and they had like a fire truck for him or something like that. I forgot what it was, but they were celebrating, and all of a sudden, the fire truck went off, and they went up. They're like, "There's no batteries in this. Like, what the fuck
Oh.
is going on?" Like, like, yeah, like I've heard of those things too, where shit starts happening, and it's funny when you were talking about that. If we have time near the end of the episode, I have a little story I would like to share that was sent to me. Now, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be upfront. I don't know if this story is true, or I don't know if it's false. My whole thing I want to do is I want to leave it up to your audience to decide. Ever watch Nuke's Top 5? He's a
No.
YouTuber. Look him up. It's Nuke's Top 5, where he'll talk about the paranormal. He'll talk about creepy videos that he finds online. And he's kind of like PT Barnum, where he, at the end of every video, he's like, elaborate hoax, or is it real? You decide. So
Nuke's Top 5.
yeah, he does a lot of, like, he'll go down a rabbit hole with him. Like, he does a lot of cool things.
Okay.
So if we have time, I would like to read this story, and it would be up to your audience to decide if this story is true or if it's false. And
Oh, Matt wants to know, what is your name? Can you he wasn't
my
here earlier.
my name is Chris. I'm the host of the Wall of Unusual.
I like the way you said that.
Yes, I'm the keeper of the unusual. I keep them at bay. Anything unusual or ooky spooky. But yeah, if we have time, oh, I was on Nuke's Top 5. Oh, that's cool.
Matt, you got to look up Matt. You got to
Yeah.
see his movie.
Oh,
He
he has
has
a
a
movie?
movie, Evil Unearthed, and it is like, I don't even have the words for it. Like, the cinematography, and like, just, you have to watch it. You have
Oh,
to
I
watch it,
will.
because
I definitely
it
will.
is spooky.
I definitely will. It's funny when they're actually filming, I think it's funny when I was listening to an episode of Coast to Coast AM, they actually had, I think, the director, or I forgot who he was, but they were talking about Rosemary's Baby, which is another movie, and The Exorcist. And a lot of creepy shit started happening on those sets, that they actually had to get an actual exorcist who was a consultant
Yeah.
to come in and bless the whole entire cast, bless everything. I also like your tactical get up too, Matt. Like, you have a lot of, that's really cool. But yeah, like, I think,
You and Matt should honestly connect, because he has a great group. We've had them on the podcast, and they're just fantastic. The things that they've done, the things that they've seen, like, I think you
oh,
guys would get along well, and he'd be a really cool guest.
oh, I'll definitely look him up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, a lot. Like I like hearing about like even the story you said about the book and stuff. Like as you were saying it, but my other thing I was going to say was, I think I've heard of this book that you were talking about by this guy, and people have said like weird shit has happened whenever they read this book.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought I was like, am I the only one? Because I've never had that happen. I've read tons of haunted books and
Yeah.
tons of like I call it paratactical. I've read so many spooky things, and I've never had that happen. And it's no, like, for all of our listeners, it's no surprise, especially on the Ghoul Friend Hour. We say we have a podcast ghost because anytime there's very particular subjects that I will say we're starting to notice that when we do start to dive into them or we talk about them on the podcast, weird shit happens. And we recently just had a podcast where we were talking about a specific that we've talked about in the past where weird stuff has happened. So I'm not even going to say it. And
Go.
we caught, no, not that one.
Oh,
That scares me though. But the S word, SW.
okay. I'm trying to think. SW.
Think like there's a ranch.
Oh yes. Okay, I got to watch.
I feel like we're
TV
playing like
yeah, paranormal true crime charades. Yes. Oh my
Two
god.
words.
Yes.
But yeah, so like when we talk about that, like we caught so I have it on our TikTok and I think I put it on our Instagram. We caught a voice. We caught some weird, and you can see the dude whose end because he was talking about it. The dude whose end it happened on, because he had a light up mic and it lights up as he's talking. His mic, like the lights kind of stop and his mouth is still moving, like he's still actively talking, but it kind of like goes very low, and then you hear this other voice on top of his that comes over like as we're on live, and we all heard it, and I stopped and I was like, did somebody just play a sound? And they were like, no. And it was like, we were like, what the fuck was that?
I just
Like,
got goosebumps.
that's not the first time it's happened on this podcast. We were talking about the D word, and we were talking about with Dave Giuliano, and we always say poor Rachel. She, her and Taylor, my other co-hosts, they were on, and poor Rachel is always like, she's like the Erin of like Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
She's the one that always, for some reason, gets like attacked. Like something always happens. So her computer, right when he was talking about it, he was talking about how like you have to guard yourself and say the Lord's Prayer, and he was kind of speaking out against it. Her computer screen froze, and we're like, oh, Rachel froze, and we're like, whatever. But we could still hear something, and all you heard come over her screen, because all of ours was normal, was stop. And we were like, and we all just looked at each other. I'm like, Dave, did you? And he's like, I heard that. Did you hear that? And I was like, I heard that. And then we played it back, and that's exactly what happened. And then Rachel sends us a voice note while we're still live, and she's like, hey, like, this is insane. She's like, my computer just crashed. My mouse, like my screen froze, and then my mouse started going all over the place and was like clicking stuff and was like, and then it just shut down. And she's like, I physically can't join the podcast again. She's like, it's like, I think my computer just like blew up. Like it's, and we were like, what? And so it was the craziest thing. So I feel like there are some things though, like whether it's the book, like reading it or talking about it, there's certain things that I do think kind of hit like a soft spot. But yeah.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. Like again, like the very only ghost hunt I ever did was in one of my former friends. Him and his, I don't know if they're still together. Oh look, she has Annabelle in the background.
That would be Matt's wonderful wife. She is amazing. Helena is just the sweetest little dumpling I ever met.
Helena, did you actually meet Annabelle? I'm just curious. How did you get into like the Warrens Museum? I heard it's like all closed off now.
They travel. I met
really?
Annabelle. Yep, they have the Warren Paracon. They travel. I saw her, I think it was last year or the year before.
There's a Warren Paracon?
So while they didn't, no, actually it was the year before, because last year they didn't have it because they had lost a member of Nesper.
Okay.
And so I think out of respect they did not do one last year. So it was the previous year they had Warren Seekers of the Paranormal Paracon. And it's basically like the Paracon, and then you can pay extra on top of your ticket. And I will say there, what I thought was interesting, and I've said this before on the podcast, was I did not like, you could feel the energy coming off of her, but I don't think
Mhm.
it's what a lot of people think.
Yeah.
I think there is something in there that is much worse, and
Re-
a lot of people don't like. And I don't even really want to talk about it because I don't want to give energy to it. But
Yeah.
there is an artifact in there that I will tell you I did not like, and I was like,
Oh,
this is not something that should be out to the public because I do think it's dangerous. And I
was it
don't typically say that about a lot of things.
was it as bad as the Catskill Chrome?
I don't know
Because I
what that is.
remember, so the Newkirks. So the story goes, the Newkirks actually did a documentary on it, and so the way they got this artifact was it was these two people, these two guys were hiking out in the Catskills in New Jersey, and they came across a. Are we now investigating the warrant? Oh, what? Hold on.
Oh yeah.
I'll now be investigating the Warrens. Oh, God. I'm sorry. That is. I'll now be investigating. Now I will now be investigating the Warrens Museum for 2 days. Oh man, I wish I could be there with you. That'd
It's
be so
awesome.
awesome. But so these two guys found this wooden effigy inside a cave. It had its hands sawed off, it had nails in its eyes, and it had a small noose around its neck. So one guy's like, I've seen horror movies, let's not touch this. And the other buddy's like, I don't believe in the paranormal. This will be a cool piece for my apartment.
He's that one friend.
So he brought it back, and he said that what footprints started appearing in his apartment, all these weird things started to happen. And all of a sudden, one day, his friend his friend got a loud 3 bangs on his apartment door at 3 o'clock in the morning. He opened the door, no one was there. Then all of a sudden, his dog started acting weird, and his buddy showed up and said, "Listen, I can't sleep in my apartment." So they contacted the Newkirks through a Reddit thread, and the Newkirk, I forgot his name, said to them, "Okay, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but sit down with this object and say, what do you want? Do you want us to bring you back? If you want us to bring you back, we will."
Like Greg said that?
Yeah, Greg Newkirk, yes. We will, just you need to calm down. So the guy's like, okay. So they go to this guy's apartment during the day to have the most beautiful, oh, that's nice. They went to the apartment to grab this chrome and bring it back. And all of a sudden, they both look, and in the corner, there is an old lady in white, dripping wet, that was crouched in the corner and stood up and then just disappeared.
Oh, hell
So
no.
they said to Greg, listen, give me your address. I'm sending this doll to you. I want nothing to do with it. So they got it. And same thing that happened at, I think they go to a Paranormal Con or something. And this guy's like, listen, I traveled all the way from Canada. I want to see this thing. And they're like, listen, we can't. Like, I can't. Like, it's very, very messed up and blah blah. He's like, no. I wanna look at it. So as soon as he picked up the chrome, he had a heart attack. So they're like, okay, we have to do something. So his wife is actually a practicing Wiccan, and she has a coven. So they're like, okay, we're gonna have to do a ritual to pretty much get rid of whatever that's in this doll. So the documentary is them talking about the doll, talking about the history of it. They go into a bit of
Wait, is this the unbinding?
yes, the unbinding, yes.
Somebody so the paranormal team that I just had on last week, they were the guy Mike was telling me that I should watch that, and there was something else he said from the Newkirks that I should check out.
It's on Tubi. I watched it. It was really good.
Okay.
I know they're on Hellier. They're on Bigfoot. They're on a Bigfoot show. But yeah, like again, it's just a very interesting object. They actually ended up burying it and hiding it somewhere because even though they cleansed it and they got rid of whatever it was in there, they buried it, and it's like they won't. I don't think they'll tell anybody where they buried it. I think they forgot about what it. And
That's probably best.
they actually had the guy on their podcast, on their haunted objects podcast, and he's like, you know what the funny thing was, we were going to go up this mountain and we met these two people that were coming down the mountain because they were looking for crystals, and they were and this guy joked saying this is going to be like a found footage where we're going to go all missing, and they're going to find this footage because they were filming everything. They're going to find this footage and they're going to find like what was left of us and stuff. And this couple that they met coming down the mountain were friends with the guy that made the Blair Witch Project.
Oh
yeah, and yeah, like it was kind of it's kind of a really cool documentary. If you get a chance, watch it. I got to still do an episode on it, but I covered it in a haunted objects episode I did a while back, a million years ago. But
I want to see. I got to see it. I feel like anytime, like the only thing that worries me about stuff like that is like when you find something like that in a cave.
Yeah, you leave it.
That's pretty ancient. Like that's probably something ancient or like elemental kind of, like I just feel like there's some kind of ritualistic something there. Anytime it has anything to do with that, like you don't fuck with that. Like
Yeah,
that's just cardinal. Tell me.
So I don't know if you have any practicing Wiccans in the chat here, or but where we used to live, me and my wife used to live in a condo in a place called Mississauga, Ontario, and I was walking our dog, and in our old subdivision, they had two like plants that were for pots that were for plants and stuff, and I'm walking them, and I just happened to look into one of the plant potter thingies, and there was a plastic takeout dish, and in this dish was someone's photo, a bone, and some money, and I'm like, what the fuck? And the photo did look burnt. And my dog saw a bone, and he's like, "Oh, for me." I'm like, "Nope." I had to pull him from it by his leash. I'm like, "Nope, we're not touching this." And I told my wife, and she's like, "You didn't fucking touch that, did you?" I'm like, "Nope, I did not touch it. I'm smarter than that." Like one time, I found an evil eye on the ground, which is supposed to help you from ward off bad luck and stuff. Like I'm Italian, so we have something called it's like the hot pepper.
Cornicello.
Yeah, the cornicello. You get that to protect you from like the evil umalocchio.
So are you Italian, I'm assuming?
Yes, I'm not from my grandparents are from Calabria. My dad's from Calabria, from Cosenza and stuff. But it's funny too, like one time, like me and my wife were like, my dad was coming over to paint the apartment because we were getting ready to sell our place, and we just found a random pepper hidden on top of one of our dressers. And my wife's like, "What the fuck is this?" I'm like, she's like, "Who gave you this?" I'm like, "I have no idea." She's like, "We did not put it there. Someone
the universe did."
Yeah. She's like, "I'm getting a bad juju from this. Throw it out." And I grabbed it and just threw it out into the dumpster. Like I even I don't know how we're doing on time because I could talk forever about the paranormal.
No, you're good. I think we have like another like 10-15 minutes, but let's cram whatever we can in.
Okay. I'll tell this quick story, then I'll get to my story that's either real or not real. So at the time there was some shit going on in my life. I won't get into too much of it. And my wife has, I won't get into how she's related to this person, but this person is not a psychic. What they do is they read from a book. Now, this book, the words always change. That's what I was told. Now, there was some stuff going on in my life, and I asked my wife, "Can you please reach out to this person and ask if I can get a reading done?" Now, this person was an old Portuguese lady. She didn't speak a word of English. My wife speaks fluent Portuguese, so does my mother-in-law. We went there. Now, this lady had no idea what was going on. I gave her no pretext. I just said, I'm here for a reading, and that's all I said. She sat down with me and started saying certain things. An employee that was working for me, with me, was basically saying a certain family member's talking shit about you. Watch your back. Then she started saying, she looked at me and said, someone told you that this family member doesn't like you. I'm like, what? And she's like, you're being punished. They want to punish you. And she just, I got chills. I can't really go into too much of what she said, but it was like, I got chills. And she told me, my wife, what you do is when you get home, get a bucket of water, mop everywhere, then take that water, pour it outside, and just turn around, don't look at it, walk in, we opened one window and a door, and just let the air go through, and that should cleanse whatever bad juju's within that place. And since then, things have been okay. So, like, I even asked my wife, I'm like, what is this book? And she explained it to me. I don't want to go too much into detail about it, but it was just like, my wife grew up with it. It's something she knows, and I never heard of it. I'm like, and it just like, I know this is way off topic, but like, again, that's just like something that kind of like not freaked me out, but I'm talking about it now. I'm getting chills. Just
because
like,
somebody was like wishing you ill. I mean, it's a hex.
Yeah, like I know babe, God is more powerful. All you need is him.
Hell
But,
yeah.
but like, I know if you to ward off hexes, if you hang a pair of iron scissors open, if anybody's throwing bad juju your way, it cuts it and it stops it from getting
I feel
to you.
I feel like that's such a nice way, because like somebody sent me some bad energy, and like my mentor told me about it. Like she was like, because I went to her and I'm like, I'm having like a lot of bad luck, like like an unusual amount of bad luck. And they were like, listen, just do an egg cleanse and you'll be
Oh,
good.
yeah, I
And
heard
she's
that.
like, she's like, if you want to return to sender, she could throw a little hot sauce on it. You could throw like disgusting stuff on it. And like, if you really want to seal the deal, let me tell you something. I am not the one to pick a fight with, because I will never start a fight, but I will finish it. And let me tell you, I egg cleansed. I had some shit in my egg cleanse. I took dog shit. I took hot sauce, pepper
wow.
flakes. I put it all in a freaking mason jar. And I was like, listen, I shook it up. And then I flushed that down the toilet, sent it right back to sender. And I won't name names, but I will say, mysteriously, somebody that was in my circle started having a lot of really coincidental bad luck and things happening. And I was like, let me tell you something. I will never do anything any differently. Like, if you start a fight with me, you're getting hot sauce, dog shit, and red pepper flakes, because don't pick a fight that you can't finish.
Yeah,
I'm worse than hanging some scissors, because I'm like, I'm returning to sender.
Yeah. So do we have time so I can read this story?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, again, I just want to tell everybody here, I don't know if this story is real. I don't know if it's fake. Also, I love all your friends in the comments here. They sound like awesome people. I need more people.
Oh, they're
like
amazing.
This. If you guys are looking for another friend, I'm available. I'm Canadian, so don't hold that against me.
My friends are your friends. We're all friends here, right, friends?
Yeah, I'll go down to Tim Hortons, give you a pack of Timbits and a coffee, and we'll hang out in our parking lot and smoke a couple darts while I'm wearing my Toronto Maple Leaf shirts. And while Boston Bruin fans come over and they're fucking chirping, bud. The chirpings are crazy there, bud.
I love it.
Yeah, that's what people Canadians think they sound like. All right, so this is a story that was sent to me. Again, I don't know if this is real or not. Hi, Chris. I've been a listener to your podcast, The Will of Unusual, for a while, and just finished listening to the episode you did on Robert the R Word and Annabelle. I don't know if you deal with things or you can give me some insight, but I figured I would share this with you. I like to collect random things and weird knickknacks and trinkets. I always look for something to take home, or things that just call it me, that fit the weird and unusual. Oh wait, take maple syrup as a payment. um, Fit the weird and unusual, calling that will look freaky or funky on my shelf. My wife has started doing the same when she's away, to bring me random things. It became a fun hobby. This is what brings me to why I reached out to you today. So my wife was away for work, and she said that she went to a random market slash junk sale that was being held in the basement of a church. She said it was filed with random things, very much like a rummage sale. She came across the table. It had a various old looking marionettes. There was a marionette that was all painted up like Pinocchio style, and she picked it up for me. And apparently, it was an old lady that was manning the table, haggled back and forth. And she said that it was really comfortable selling the Pinocchio marionette. But my wife, I'm sorry, uncomfortable selling Pinocchio marionette. But my wife persisted, and this lady eventually gave in. This lady also said something under her breath that she handed paint marionettes, and does not remember painting that one to look like Pinocchio. So here we are. I have what you once thought was a cool marionette that looks like Pinocchio a bit, but I really do not think he is a wooden boy trying to be a real boy at all. It started when I noticed that the marionette seemed to never be an exact place where I left him. At first, I sat on him on the edge of my bookshelf, so that when I would sit by when I would sit by some random books and plastic skull that I have that are part of my collection, weird things started to happen. It was like part of my collection had a different had been in different places where I left them. The marionette started showing up in different places. I chucked it all to maybe the wind, because in the story said it fell. Chucked it up to the wind, maybe moving it, or a bookcase falling by its own. During the night, I heard a crash, and I passed it off that it was a cat knocking something off the shelf, or something. The next afternoon, when I went to the office to work, I found the marionette on the floor. It looked like it fell from the shelf, but it was standing upright perfectly, as if it was something holding it up by its head, and the strings were tight, keeping it up like marionette up. During the night, I will hear scraping noises or light tapping coming from the office. But when I go into the office, everything seems normal. Normal is moved except the marionette. Curious about the whole thing, I tried to find an old story of Pinocchio. I won't read the rest of that, but pretty much in this story, he says that this doll moves by its own. He doesn't know. Oh, I pressed something. What did I press? There you go. It moves on its own. He heard children laughing. He asked if his kid was messing with him. The kid said no. And that's the end of that story. So again, I don't know if this story is real or fake. I'll let everybody decide if it is or not. Sorry if my reading was messed up. I'm reading it off my phone, and I kept losing my place. But
no, you're good.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, so that's the story.
It kind of reminds me of Bishop James Long. He was on that new Eli Roth show, Legion of Exorcists. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh no, I have to look into that.
We had him on the podcast as well, and he told us this story before the show aired. And if you watch the show, he has like the kind of theatrical reproduction. And hi, Patricia. It's like this little kind of like clown doll that this lady picked up from this like thrift shop thing, and it like caused a lot of like chaos, and it would move around, and they would hear things and whatnot. He got called to pick this item up and to bless the house because it had what they think, because of what was left standing, was he showed up, and he said when he showed up to the house, it was literally leveled. Like the house was burnt to the ground,
Oh
except for just
wow.
some like door frames and like the foundation of the house. Um, and so when he had went in and was talking to the lady, she's like, well, this is why I called you. She's like, they had this multi-million-dollar mansion. They were antiquers,
Hmm.
picked up this little, it was like this big, a little silver clown doll, very tiny. And they said that they had weird things happen, and they couldn't explain it, like little fires like that started here and there, I think, if I remember correctly.
Oh
And
wow.
then their entire house burned down. But what was weird is, she's like, that's not like the weirdest part. She said she walked him through like a couple like of like doorways that were just left standing. And when they walked through the one doorway, the only thing that was not, there was no singe marks, no nothing, was this little clown, and it was just sitting on a shelf that was like pretty much in ashes. Like it was like burnt, and there was nothing left of it but just sitting like it was, I don't know how, the way he described it is much better than I'm going to describe it, but like most of the shelf was gone, but like the part that it was sitting on was like untouched, and the little clown itself was not charred, nothing,
Oh
but was
wow.
hot to the touch. And he brought this thing to a lecture that he did on the paranormal and haunted objects and stuff like that. And the clown, he had it in a case, and everybody was like, take it out, take it out. And he's like, I don't think that's a good idea. And he had said that he said he was kind of annoyed. Like a lot of people would think this is terrifying. He said he was kind of annoyed because he had just spent all this money to buy a laptop, and he had this laptop open doing the slideshow and everything with this presentation, and everybody's like, oh, take him out, take him out. And he's like, fine, I'll take him out for a split second. Like we're not fooling around with this. This is a very dangerous item, yada yada yada. And so basically takes this clown out, sets it down, and begins to kind of talk about it and tell them the story behind it. And he started to have these visual like hallucinations, and was like, holy crap, like what is going on? And started seeing like the people that were sitting in the rows, they were like decaying.
Oh wow.
And he started to kind of freak out a little bit and was like, what the hell was that? And then what happened was the laptop went up in flames and exploded. And he was like, holy shit, like, well, he didn't say like 'cause he's a priest, but he was like, oh my god. And like immediately was like, this is why we can't bring him out. And it did it charred his freaking laptop in front of all these people, set it up in flames. Like
Oh
he said
wow.
it like literally combusted. And he was like, this definitely is what burnt their house down. So he still has it, I think. But that was one of the stories that he talks about, because this thing was like, he said it was like just evil. So I
Wow.
it kind of reminded me of that a little bit in the beginning, because that's what the family had kind of reported. But yeah. So
That's
I guess the lesson here is be careful of any kind of small trinkets at your local thrift shop, because they could be pyromaniacs.
yes, yes, indeed. Yeah, careful what you take and bring home. Also, what I said at the top of the episode of how Canada has like cool haunted buildings.
Mhm.
Um, there's a TV show that I absolutely love. It's called Murdoch Mysteries. It's a Canadian TV show. It takes place near the turn of the century. It's about pretty much, it's a police procedural show, but set in the 1900s almost, where Canada was still part of Britain, et cetera, et cetera. There's an episode called The Ghosts of Queen's Park. Watch that episode. It goes through some of the. They actually filmed it in that place, and it's kind of a cool episode to watch. So
Okay.
it's very interesting.
I'm gonna have to check that out. I definitely want to. I'm definitely gonna have to reach out to you when we eventually plan our Canada trip, because
Yeah.
we like it's definitely on the agenda. Like I'm going. It's just a matter of when. So I'll have to reach out to you, because I would love to do like a tour. And I also want to check out that Pioneer Village, that like
Oh
village
yeah.
you were talking about. I feel like that would
Um,
be really cool.
if you want to do the ghost walks, they usually do it in October all the way up maybe till November.
Cool.
But because during the day it's just like you go and it's just reenactors. You can see what pioneer life was like back then. If you watch what's that movie, that Thanksgiving horror movie where the guy was wearing that mask and he kills everybody with an axe? What's it?
I think, is it Thanksgiving?
Yeah, that one. They actually filmed it at Black Creek Pioneer Village. I was
Oh,
watching
really?
it, and I was watching. I'm like, oh shit, that's Black Creek Pioneer Village.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, all I need to see is places. What was it? All I needed to see are all the haunted places in Canada.
Yeah.
Oh
Do
yes.
some urbexing. That's what I said, Helena, because I was like, there's got to be some really cool places in Canada, especially because it's super indigenous, like territory.
I don't know anything about like up at the reserves or anything, but I know where I live now. There is a camp called Camp 30. I don't know if anything ooky spooky happens there. It's demolished now. I went there once a long time ago, and it was a former POW camp for German prisoners.
Oh, wow.
And apparently there was a battle called the Battle of Canada, not Battle of Canada, where German prisoners basically started a riot, and there was like some newly arrived like Canadian troops who were ready to like go to Europe to fight. And they said, okay, well, we're going to fight these sons of bitches. So they ended up like having a brawl in this camp and stuff. But yeah, definitely reach out, and I can definitely see if I can arrange some things. And I'll take it to take your friends. And if your husband comes to Tim Hortons, because they're not Canadian anymore, but it's still a staple of Canada. So
we just got one in Delaware, and I'm like,
oh, really?
Yeah, we just got our first one, and I'm like, I was super excited. It's like 30 minutes from me, but it's still great because I'm like, I was really excited when they told us we were getting one, and I literally like stalked the website, and I was like, when are we gonna be in business? Because I've heard good things.
Is it open yet there, or?
It is. It is. Me and my daughter actually ended up going, and I got a cold brew, and I like panicked at the drive-through because I didn't look at the menu beforehand, and I was like, let me just get a classic donut. So I feel like I haven't had the true experience yet.
If you want to learn, if you want to know how to order a coffee like a Canadian, you go up to the drive-through and say, "Can I have a large double and a pack of Timbits?"
Okay, double pack of Tidbits.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I usually do an unusual fact of the day on my show. I don't know if you're familiar with it. You said you listened to a few episodes. I have a few. I'm trying to think of one that's fitting for this episode. Okay, I'll do an oldie but a goodie. So, do you know where the term graveyard shift came from?
No.
So, a long time ago, when people were afraid of being buried alive, there were all these, we need that Canadian maple syrup. Yeah. They they came up with all these weird inventions. One of the inventions was they used to tie a piece of string around the finger, and they used to have a string from that, a string going up to on top, attached to a bell. So the idea was if you were buried alive, you would move your finger and the bell would ring, and someone would come and dig you up and save you. So they used to hire watchmen to stay at the cemetery late at night and see if any of the bells would ring. Thus, that's where the term graveyard shift came from, because these people would watch over the cemetery and hear the bells. So that's the term where the graveyard shift came from.
I love it. I love that you have a strange fact.
Yeah, that's the unusual fact. I wouldn't say it's an oldie but a goodie. Another one I can do real quick is, you know why we say dark meat and dark meat and white meat when you're at Thanksgiving? Because back in the Victorian era, it was very improper to say, can I have breast or thigh? So it was, can I have dark meat or can I have white meat?
Dang. And then we like, we're just like yelling tits and something else at my Thanksgiving table. God.
But yeah, there you go. That's the two unusual facts of the day that, yeah.
We gotta bring back some Victorian class for our Thanksgiving table.
Yeah. I still because I cosplay once in a while, and I still want to do a Murdoch Mysteries cosplay where I dressed up as Detective William Murdoch, and
You
because
should.
he has like a bowler hat and suit and stuff. But yeah, actually, one year dressed up as John Constantine, and actually met these two guys that were cosplaying as Sam and Dean Winchester, and I took a picture with them, and that was the highlight of my whole thing. And actually met another guy who was dressed up as Castiel. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is awesome. And I was giving out cards to them because I printed out like John Constantine cards and giving people them. So it was
I
this
love
is
that.
cool nerdy thing. But anyway,
I love that. I love that so
yeah.
much. You're inspiring me because I just was gonna say what Helena said is that I always wanted to cosplay, and I've been looking at cosplay costumes because I was like, I saw some really cool ones on TikTok, and I was like, you know what? How fun is that to dress up and like get in a character and like go to Comic Cons? Like, I just feel like it's such a fun time, and you get to like hang out with other people who like to do it and just like enjoy.
Yeah, you know what? It is fun. I always enjoyed doing it. I've cosplayed as John Constantine, someone from SG1, Deathstroke. And yeah, it's always fun. People will run into you and say, "Oh, cool cosplay," and blah blah blah. But yeah, actually, I think I have a few pictures on my private Instagram where I cosplayed, and I did actually my bachelor party. I went to Fan Expo Canada. That was my bachelor party. So
That's amazing.
that's how nerdy I am. But
no, never nerdy. We love it. Embrace it.
Yes, indeed.
But this has been such a fun episode. I'm so glad that we had so many peeps like weighing in and hanging out with us in the comment section. So quick shameless plug before you go. Give everybody the deets on where we can find you, how they can connect, how your new friends can link up.
Okay, you can find my podcast on all social media platforms. The Wall of Unusual. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Apple Podcasts. And yep. And let me just look up my Instagram because I keep forgetting the name of it. How it's properly spelled. My Instagram handle is the_wall_of_unusual, all lowercase letters. You can find that's my Instagram. You can find me there. I believe I follow you on Instagram. Mm-hmm. You can also find me. I have threads on there. I believe if you click on my Instagram handle, you can get to my threads. And I actually have Twitter, or X as it is known now. It's Wall.
Twitter.
Yeah, I always call it Twitter. It's at Wall of Unusual, all one word. So those are my little things you can connect with me. And yeah, so those are my little social media thingies.
I love it. And thank you so much again. As always, I feel like it's just never enough time because we are certified yappers on the Ghoulfriend Hour. So we love to talk and talk. So if you ever feel like doing a part 2, reach out, let me know. Because I would love to, even if we were to like pick a topic and we can collab on something specific and kind of, do something like that.
Oh yeah. Actually, if you ever want to come on my podcast, you're more than welcome to as well. Yeah, that'll be a fun idea for like it'll actually be a very fun idea. I would love to come back to and do like a part 2. We could talk about a certain topic and stuff, and yeah, it'll be actually awesome.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much again for coming and getting weird with us today. To all our listeners, make sure you check out The Wall of Unusual with Chris. Fantastic. We'll make sure to put all the links in, and keep an eye on all our socials for, new friends, upcoming guest events. We're going to be partaking in quite a few events. Another little update that I'm putting out here is I have not released all the info yet, but I will be doing an investigation collaboration with a team that we have had on the podcast before coming up at the end of February. So stay tuned for that because we will be having a really cool collaboration. It's just going to be, that's all I can say right now. It's just going to be a really cool collab. So as always, stay weird, our friends, and we will see you soon. And yes, Helena.
Unusual.
Yes, always stay unusual. And Helena, yes, we need to do a part 2. I feel like we need a part 2, 3, 4, 5 because like I said, we're certified yappers. We just want to chat and talk about all the things spooky, weird, and in between. But until next time, ghoul friends, as always, stay weird, stay unusual, and we'll catch you on the other side.
Indeed.
Bye, guys.